does analysis with a model called Mendelow's matrix. We entered the avenue of environmental analysis too, where we have discussed pestle analysis, which led us to other technology related submodel, industry convergence, and international dimension of business. We have checked on Porter's diamond the last class too. But we are bringing this scenario on board so that to re-ask ourselves about Mendelow's. Among all the 17 or 18 or thereabout, the model are going to treat or we have been treating, Mendelow's is the most volatile. Why do I say the most volatile is that the factors are not remain, they are not permanent at any point. It depends on the scenario. So notwithstanding we discuss how they go, how they be in the group, we want to use this scenario to check what make a fit of a particular class of stakeholder to be a key player or keep satisfied or keep informed or minimal effort. We should recall that I mentioned drivers, they might be minimal effort in some entity, but in some entity they are key players. So that is the reason for us to set this scenario in place. I want to assume with reasonable assurance that we have read through the scenario. If that assurance is set, I may not need to read through again. But if that assurance is wrong, meaning that it's a limited assurance and not reasonable assurance, I may need to go through this one-page scenario. So confirm that if my assurance is right or wrong.
So I think okay. I think the scenario. I don't know. I will confirm from Christy if she has actually shared it on the folder. But I think
Okay,
they've
hold
not
on.
read. Yeah. So I think we can read. Yes, sir.
Read back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me do that now. So
Um.
I call this one A.
Yeah. Someone can actually read from here. Please, who will volunteer
Okay,
to read? Yes. So who will volunteer
I
to read this scenario? Who want to read for us, please? Do we have anyone that wants to read for us?
any broadcaster.
Or should I call him? Ungazi.
In our time, we used to call Fatima Abbas Hassan, Sristoba. There is no Sristoba again.
Ungazi.
If they are shy from that, let's read it from them. If they are shy, maybe
Okay,
they
okay.
think their voice is gold. Let me read from my so that I need.
Hello.
Anybody? Okay.
Hello.
Is it the first paragraph, sir?
Yes, this scenario, yeah.
Okay. Water Protein Limited is a small company operating from an island near Atlantic Ocean. Water Protein Limited is a private company with 25 shareholders. Its shares are not traded on any stock exchange. The main shareholders of Water Protein Limited include relatives of the company's first CEO, and also private investors from whom the first CEO sought finance and who have since retained their shares. 25% of the share capital is held by members of the current board. The main business of Water Protein Limited is the packaging of fresh seafood, fish, oysters, crab, etc., and selling these to supermarkets and other retailers. The company employs 750 people, mainly in the packing departments. Packing is labor intensive due to the need to clear and prepare fish, etc. by hand prior to packing. Supplies of Water Protein Limited are obtained from the island's fishing fleets. Previously, the fleet supplied a number of companies on the island. However, recently, a couple of the fleet's other major customers have closed down. And the result is that Water Protein Limited is now the only significant customer of the fleet. Water Protein Limited is also one of the island's major employers. In the last few weeks, the directors of Water Protein Limited have decided to transfer almost all of the packaging of seafood to another country. The seafood will be moved by refrigerated ships to this other country, packaged by workers there, and then moved back by ship to Water Protein Limited, same island, for resale as before. The rationale behind this move is that labor costs are only 1/10 of the costs on the island. Even taking into account transportation costs, this move will halve the packaging cost of Water Protein Limited. As a result of the move, the workforce will decrease to 200 people. The decision has resulted in significant adverse publicity for Water Protein Limited on the island. The trade union representing the employees has taken strike action, saying that this is a typical example of exploitation employment practices. However, the reaction from customers has been positive, as the company can offer reduced prices on many products. A government minister on the island on which Water Protein Limited is based has recently welcomed developments that limits the price of food to customers. However, the government has recently come under attack from the opposition for allowing jobs to be exported from the island. The directors of Water Protein Limited believe that the decision to transfer the packaging of seafood is correct because, as the CEO explained, the decision is best for the company, best for the shareholders, and best for the directors. However, a couple of the non-executive directors have raised doubts about the move. One has raised the objection that Water Protein Limited depends on the sales on its islands. However, it is removing purchasing power from the island by transferring employment overseas. Required. Explain Mendelow's theory of stakeholder power. Identify the stakeholders involved in the decision to transfer packaging of seafood to another country and assess the response of each group to this decision.
Thank you very much. That's a good delivery. You have delivered very well. Now, the question is very simple. We believe we have seen the first part. We've remembered what Mendelow's matrix is, and we can actually refer to our note before now. Now, one of the first aspects we like to do is to identify who are the stakeholders. If you have your pen or paper, or you want to be typing on your device, you can do that. From the scenario, you can identify who are the stakeholders here. If you don't forget, stakeholders are those that are going to be affected by action or inaction of the manager of an entity. Here, the management organization have made a decision. Some people are affected, whether they go or did not go. Some positively, some negatively. Some they don't even know whether they are positive. So the best way of doing this is to identify who are the stakeholders first in their number, and we can actually pick them right from the scenario. Then we also say, okay, this one, is their power high or low? This other one, is their interest high or low? It's as simple as that. Now, if you could see from here, stakeholders include shareholders. I think from paragraph 1 we can see that. From paragraph 1 we see shareholders. Abi, you have shareholders. You can be writing them down. Then you have employees. Can you see that? Do you see the employees paragraph?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. The same
750.
part, thank you. You see suppliers. Then if I jump in, you can see we are doing it together. You can see host communities. Host communities. You can see trade union. The trade union represent the employees. Trade union. Then you can see government. Government minister. Okay, I can see directors. We can have two sets of directors, executive directors and non-executive directors. I can still see one way again. Okay, government, non-executive directors. And this is what I see. If you get another one, let me know. I have as my stakeholders, shareholders, employees, suppliers, host communities, trade union, government, executive directors, non-executive directors. If you get another one other than this one, or you are finding difficult to identify this one, let us know. So that we can do it together.
You can as well check your folder now, the drive, right? The
Okay.
case scenario has been
Consumer. Yes. I think that one, consumer. I think the end of the second paragraph, we have develop welcome development that limit the type of food for consumers. So you have consumers too. So consumers. So even with this, we should not forget that we have 4 contracts in the 2x2 matrix for Mendelow. Anyway, all our matrices are going to do it here. They are 2x2. So we have 4 contracts. Contract 1 of the contracts, we have key players. We have keep satisfied, keep informed, and minimal effort. Those are the 4 groups that we have. Now, the next thing to know who belongs to what on the contract, the 400, we can draw that we have the other class. We only have our power by the y-axis. We can do that on our own. We have the power by the y-axis. and we have interest by the horizontal axis. Then by the left high corner, left top corner, the both corner we have low. That's how we have in the last class, so that we won't be confused. Then the top right on top of the horizontal we have high, and down of the vertical close horizontal we have high too. That's how we have it in the other class. Meaning that our key player will be at the right bottom quadrant. Just put KE and the KP. You have 4 quadrants now in the box ahead, as you show on the screen now. That's what we have. So you can, instead of writing them, you write them like that, or you use the one you have here. Then we can continue the analysis of the stakeholders now. Now we have identified from my own here. I identified 9 stakeholders. I don't know how much they are. Meaning that in one contract we will have more than, or we can have more than one group. So meaning that it's not a specific shareholder to a specific contract now. So we have 4, and I have 9 stakeholders here. So the first stakeholders now, this is where we need to get ourselves right. We have shareholder. In the shareholder, because they can do and undo based on this, if they say that shareholder should stop because they are doing for your interest, the shareholder have to listen to them. We can say the power of the shareholder is high. So we have high power here. The next question is that are they willing to use this power now? The answer is no, because they don't want this decision to be changed, number 1. Number 2, you should remember that how dependent is this particular stakeholder on the company. And we know that no shareholder depends on the dividend for survival. It's not for a salary. So in both ways, the interest will be low. So we have high power and low interest. So if you have a case with this, let's know before we go on. So the shareholder have high power but low interest. We know the group and the government we go to belong to. So the second class is employee. Now, there's no doubt that the interest of the employee will be high because it's affecting their livelihood, and they will want us because it's affected them badly. So for employee, it's straightforward. The interest is high. Then we ask question is that do they have power? Employee does not have, in this scenario, employee does not have power. Because the best thing they can do, as encouraged by the labor union, is to go into industrial action. They don't want to work again. So what is the result of that? They make the job easy for the company. They will just pack the 100% of the labor to the next island, next country, Shikena. And short of this, they know that they don't even have, there's nothing they can do to save that particular position. So their power is low. So for employee, power is low and interest is high. Power is low, but the interest is high. Next stakeholder here, is supplier. Supplier here, they fall into the same category like employee. They don't have power, their power is low. Let me come again now. Why is the power low? Let's take this level. Instead we have many suppliers. The many suppliers, they call it fleet. Then before now, they have many processing companies that buy from them. So they have multiple of buyers. We are still going to come to this, so those examples where we are talking about Porter's 5 forces now. The impact of supplier being one or many, or buyers being one or many. Now, in this scenario, the other people that bought from the suppliers are no more. It remains only Water Protein Limited. So meaning that the supplier does not have option than to support whatever water protein does. As a result of this, they have low power. There's no power. So are they interested in then changing this, or is there a likelihood fall into this? Number one, they will not will that the company change the position, or they are dependent on it because that's their survival. So what will actually take the dependence? We say the interest is high because without them they cannot survive. In this scenario, host community and the labor, they will fall into the same category. The reason being this: in this scenario, the highest employer is Water Protein Limited, and they are employing more on the island. So whatever happened to the employee will happen to the host community and will happen to the trade union too, because the trade union represents the employee. Employee forms the trade union. I hope you are following this. So meaning that whatever we have for employee, you have for host community, that is low power, high interest, low, high. The same with trade union, low, high. Low, high. Now, the next stakeholder is government. The next stakeholder in government. Somebody should not ask me that government have power. That is ordinarily, generally, government have power. But in this scenario, what is the power of government to say that these guys will change their decision? They are going to change it. It's not, what they are doing is not illegal. They are carrying out their legal business. And it's not wrong for anybody to pursue the best of his business in the legal way. So meaning that in this particular scenario, there is no power for government. So government will have no power. In fact, the interest rate is low. The interest too is low. Low as a what? Government will not want to change decision made by any entity for their profit to be increased. Why? The higher the profit, the higher the tax paid to government. Number two, one company tax or money or profit cannot sustain the whole government. So here, government have low power and low interest. Then we have consumer. Without the consumer, they can't make it. That's why they said that we should listen to this one now. If they even take it to the other community, to the other country to go and do the packaging, they are still bringing it back here for them to resell. Meaning that without the consumer here, they are not able, they won't be able to sell. They cannot make their sales, purpose of having profit. Meaning that the consumer have high power. The consumer have high power. If you get that one now, what about the interest? What about the interest? So if anything happen to the interest of the consumer, sharp they will react, especially the general consumers of basic foods. If anything affect their interest, immediately they want to change. They only accepting this one temporarily because it makes the price to come down. So we can say the power too is high. So you have high power, high interest for consumers. High power, high interest for consumers or customers, they call them. Is it consumer or customers? Anyway, just check. Consumer or customers. Now with this, we can be able to populate our Mendelow's matrix. We can be able to populate our Mendelow's matrix. So let's check. From the first one, high power plus low interest give us what? From our last arithmetic, high power, low interest. High power, low interest. That one give us keep satisfied. keep satisfied. High power, low interest, keep satisfied. So we have shareholder. If you have the same drawing we have last class, it will be at the left bottom. That will have keep satisfied. So write shareholder in that box, that quadrant that have keep satisfied. The other one, the next one, employee with low power and high interest. So the group that one will fall to is keep informed. Keep informed. Though you put it on the quadrant where we have top right. Top right is keep informed. So you put employees there. Employees. As you mentioned that employee, host community, and trade union will have the same characteristics, and they actually have. So just put those two there again. Host communities and trade union. Host community and trade union. So you have done with supplier. Okay, the new supplier, but okay, suppliers. Supplier to have low power, high interest. You will come under keep informed. Suppliers. Then you have government. Government higher have low power, low interest. You come under minimal effort. That is top left. Government. Government. Now we have consumer here or customer with high power, high interest. So the right bottom will have consumer or customer. Consumer or customers. So that is the right bottom. So with this now, we have identified the stakeholders and we'll push them across to each of the quadrants. We put them across to each of the quadrants. So we have under low, we have government. Under the low high, we have host communities, we have suppliers, we have employees, we have trade unions. Then we have under the keep informed, that is where we have low interest, low power and high interest. Keep satisfied, we have high power but low interest. We have shareholders. In this same position, we can have our NED, non-executive directors. They have high power too, but low interest, unlike the executive directors with high power and high interest. So that is the environment of that. If you have questions, we can ask before we move on. So he said, explain Mendelow's theories of stakeholders' power, identify the stakeholders involved in the scenario to transfer packaging of seafood to another country, and accept the response of each group to this decision. Now we've identified with post. What is the reaction of each group? Group one, key players. Key players, here we identify consumers. As we explained that time now, with this scenario, consumers have the highest power. They have the highest power and they will not want anything that affect their interest go unchecked. If they say they are not buying again, there's no identified market that water protein limited can sell their things. So the power is high. And at any point in time, because they know they have the power, they can only use it. So the answer is that if you do anything that actually affects our interest, they are going to violate you. And they know, the company too know that that's what they can do. The other group that can talk about is government. In this particular scenario, government does not have power to stop them ordinarily because of what? They are not doing illegal business. And they're not going to be interested to stop them too. That way, see they are in minimal effort. I think those other ones they have been explained. If you have questions that can permit us to explain more, you can actually check it out for us. Can check it out for us.
Thank you.
Let's raise
Thank you
some
so much.
if there's
Thank you.
any before we move to the next model.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Please, if you have question, based on the case scenario, as well as the suggested solution, to the case scenario, please kindly mute your mic and ask your question. Thank you. Okay, saying Kende, you can mute.
Um, Good evening, sir. Um, I, yes, sir. Thank you very much for this class. First, I just want to confirm my understanding of uh, interest. Does interest actually mean, in this case, what each category of stakeholder stand to lose? Do you get what I mean, sir? Are we looking at interest from the perspective of what they lose, what they stand to lose, or the weightiness of what they stand to lose in a particular scenario?
Okay, thank you. If I understand your question well, whether what they call interest is general or particular scenario,
No, I'm asking,
either interest or power.
yes, from the perspective of
Okay.
power, are we seeing power from the perspective of what each stakeholder actually stand to lose in a particular case? I mean, like in this case now, we are talking about employee losing their
No,
job,
no,
their interest, and all that. Yeah.
no. What we call power is ability of any stakeholder to change decision make or decision made by any management. If they say we don't want, they will change. Or before they make any decision, they will inform them to get their opinion first because they can turn over whatever they do. That's what they call power. Just like you have power to beat somebody now. I don't know whether you're a boxer, at least a 6-year-old girl or boy. You say, stop there, and will stop because you know you can beat. That's what they call power. Ability to change or make things happen. That is the power we are seeing here. So if you understand that now, that is power. Not because whether you are going to lose or not going to lose. If you lose, can you do anything? That is power. Because if they know you are going to do anything, can they consider you so you will not lose? That is power. But the interest means that either you have the power or not, are you willing to use that power if you have or not? That is the interest. Another perspective for interest is that what is reliant? How will it affect you? The stake. What stake are you holding? Is your life wire, your lifestyle, your living rested on that entity? Like employees, the life is rested on because they collect salary. Even executive directors, that's what they live on. So that is interest. So meaning at any point in time, if that interest is not, they are willing, whether they have power or not, they will have wish, like this employee now, they will have wish that they can have something to change that decision, but the power is not that. They will have waved that kai. This thing must not go like this. Because without job, what is the power of anybody, either male or female, old or young? Without source of income, what is the power? So that is the extent of the power and interest as far as this is. The problem with Mendelow's is that you cannot say generally this power is here. The power depends on any scenario. The power can come to anybody. It can come to suppliers. It can come to employees. So just like that, scenario will tell us what to make somebody a key player, a keep informed, keep satisfied, or minimize. Generally, if you want to say generally, nobody is superior to government now. General power. But because of this scenario, what will make you to start somebody not to do legal business? I don't know whether that is clear.
It's clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Any other one?
So I think you can move on, sir.
Okay, so let's go to Porter's 5 forces now. I think the last time we dealt with Porter's diamond, where we identify the reason behind some entity in some particular country, becoming the leader of the industry over the years, and nobody was able to overtake them. Whether sincerely, they are able to maintain their finance. Their financial management is rested on those production. Just like up till now, Nigeria is resting on crude oil. Notwithstanding, Nigeria's government is trying to diversify. So, but the major is, and we are making this over the years. Nobody will say, no, Nigeria, there's no market for it because people are plenty supplying the crude oil. They are not plenty. And that's what we refer to factor condition that time. So we have factors condition, we have demand condition, we talk about farm strategy, structure, and rivalry. We talk about related and supporting industry under the Porter's diamond. Now, it's the same Michael Porter. He's one that invented 5 forces. If you check our notes or material there, you see that those 5 are arranged facing each other, pulling each other. So the 5 forces is resting on the popularity of which entity will gain more profit and in which industry. So another scenario name for Porter's 5 forces, what they call industry attractiveness. Industry, and you can have that on your material too, on top of the diagram there. Industry attractiveness. What do we mean by industry attractiveness? That is which industry will attract you. Let me just break it down into local English. Which industry will attract you to make reasonable profits? Which industry you want to go into business? Which kind of business you want to do that you go to maintain your profits? Then we say reasonable profit. What do we mean by reasonable profit? Reasonable profit means profit big enough to compensate your investor. Investor as in debt or as an equity, meaning that investor with high cost or with low cost or no cost. Because in finances, it's either you use debt or you use equity. Whichever they have, at the end of the year, you must have enough profit to say thank you for trusting us. Thank you for your ability to take risk and invest in us. Thank you for being part of our progress. Then after you pay them, you still have something to reinvest into the business so that you can have sustainable development and progress. So that's what we call reasonable profits. So the whole brain behind Porter 5 forces is industry attractiveness. And industry attractiveness means that where can you make a reasonable profit? And we now know what we mean by reasonable profit. Now, whenever individual entity or business person identify a market, identify an industry, identify anywhere, any area of economy, any sector of economy that can make reasonable profit, nobody will leave him alone. We should have that. No matter what you do, if you are the inventor, the only time you need to enjoy it is because you started making money. When you start making money, you can't be the only one there again. So meaning that there are forces opposing your success in that particular industry as far as you are making it. If you are not making it, nobody see you. That's why they call it Porter's 5. You have those forces, we number them 5. We have potential entrants. We have buyer's bargaining power or buyer's prayer. It can be any of those names depending on the literature. You can call it buyer's bargaining power or buyer's prayer. We have availability of close substitutes. We have availability of close substitute. We have competition and rivalry. We have competition and rivalry. Then the last one is supplier's prayer or supplier's bargaining power. Supplier's prayer or supplier's bargaining power. Now, where do you even take it from now? From potential entrant, right? Oh, okay, let's follow the material you have so that you won't be going up and down side by side at any point in time. So let's start from, I think the first one here is competition and rivalry. Competition and rivalry. All of us know what we call competition. And we talk about competition in the level of strategy. You should remember that now, that business strategy is about competition. And we identify two strategy to fight competition that time, according to the same Michael Porter, that you can use cost leadership and differentiation. Now here in competition, it depends on which type of market competition do you have. Is it a perfect competition or you are only a monopoly? In the perfect competition, meaning that you have free entrance and free exit to the market. But in monopoly, nobody can just come either by law or by nature. You are the only one, or you people are the only one in that industry. That is a monopolistic market. So the competition here is rare. So it depends on which market you follow that can maintain a sustainable profit for you. And financial managers will be aware of this. When decisions are being made, you want to enter new market, you want to introduce new products, you want to launch a new company. That is why financial, they are always very important. When an agent want to establish, they will advise the management that here you can make your profit without anybody challenging you in the next 5, 6, 7 years. But here, where you enter, people will join you. That is about market, about competition. I've not heard somebody say business name here now, but its biggest power is monopoly, and it's a great risk taker. You want to do something that nobody will not even think of, have ability to actually invest as much as that. So you don't think that let me copy it, it don't go. It don't go tete. So that is meaning that if you are enjoying a monopolistic market, you have a less competition. So the lesser your competition, the higher your ability to maintain reasonable profit. Now, in a perfect competition, where you have free entry and free exit to the market for buyers and sellers, meaning that you have very many people coming to the same market to do the same thing with you. In that circumstances, you can't command price. You cannot command price. So you will leave the price now to the power of equilibrium. That is the power of demand and supply. That's what they call market price. The price, the market will dictate the price. But as a result of that, you are not in control of your price. How are you going to be in control of your profits? For instance, those of us that we are close to forex market, since March this year, dollar has not risen up to 1,850 again. Talk less of that. I think 1.8 itself. It was at 1.8 in February before people are already even emphasizing that go to 2,000. And up till now, it's not there. As at this period last year, a full grain of corn is selling for 135,000 naira. Rice, 50 kg bag, is selling for about 95,000 naira. If unfortunately at the CC, some people that have invested in buying this thing and keep and sell later, they're already in soup. Why? Other people brought this thing in to the market. And the price of the corn that I say about 1,500 last year is about 40,000 naira now. If you are far from there, you're not going to far from rice. Right about 95,000 naira last year, he has flooded the market now. A bag is going for about 65,000 naira now. So if you don't have the control of the price, you cannot control your profit. And the same thing cannot happen to NEPA. You know NEPA, ba? What we call NEPA? Since they be increasing the price, how many of us are veg and we're going to use it again? Because they are the only one in that industry. There's no perfect competition for that. Solar is too expensive to compete with. Okay, let me use AEDs for people in Abuja. You have AEDC, you have Lagos DC, at least about 6 of them. Let me give you a scenario now. NEPA want to be sharing light in my environment. I'm talking about something of yesterday now. They want to be sharing the, like, say, the capacity of the transformer cannot carry everybody in the community. They want to be sharing it to two. The question they make was that because they are not staying in the environment, we should be giving them transport fare every day. For what we paid for connection, we paid for our meter, we paid for the unit. For them to be sharing, what they were supposed to be fully giving us in full, they say we want to share. So for them to be sharing, we still be paying them for them to come to share for us. Why? Because they know they are the only one. So meaning that the more you enjoy monopoly, the better for us. So meaning that to get reasonable profit in an industry, monopoly type of competition is better than perfect competition. Now, other than the one I mentioned as NEPA now, or ADC or DDC, we call it, or DISCO, I don't think there's any other industry or sector, economic sector in Nigeria or elsewhere that enjoy that. So meaning that no matter how sweet it is a very rare occasion. Now, if you find yourself in that environment, what can you do to solve the problem? What is the measure to solve the problem? One of the things you can do is to create artificial monopoly. How do you create artificial monopoly? You can take over those other ones, buy them over. You've seen that one before. Buy them over. I used to give kudos to Adora Aquili for one thing of what he did when he was in NAFDAC. That is introduction of disposable bottles, PET bottles for soft drinks. Prior to that, you don't see numbers of soft drinks in our society like that. No see. I will not mention the names that will always be there. He took over many of other ones. But now, that's why it's not, the power is not as before. So one of the things we can do when you have fluctuation of people into the market that can reduce your profit, take them over. If that one is not possible, another thing we can do is to form an association. You can form a group or union. That is why almost every sector now, even people that sell fufu akpu, you have akpu sellers association. Transporters, they have association. And that's why now, especially in the state that we have gas, CNG, they still charge the same amount that people that are using petrol are charging. Because by now in this gas, you must not take less than this. You are traveling to interstate or intrastate. From this garage, this amount we charge. They cannot charge less. And it's sweet to them too, because they're going to have more profit. So meaning that you can form a union. National Union of Road Transport Workers. National Union of Petrol Tankers Drivers. National Union of Hairdresser. National Union of Fufu Seller, and so on and so forth. National Union of online classes, if there's something like that. So meaning that you can actually form a union to form a monopoly. Monopoly is sweeter in business than when you have a perfect market. Now in our material, we made mention of Microsoft, because in some nations, government are not always happy with those that have the power of monopoly. Why? Other businesses might not be able to grow. Now in this one, what does Microsoft did? It monopolized browsing on HP, on Microsoft. Any laptop that computer using Microsoft make it a monopoly that no any other browser can compete on that. And that is Windows Explorer. Internet Explorer come with Microsoft. So it's, for instance now, can anybody come to your house? I know your house more than you. Can it be free as you are free in your house? It's not possible. So that is the power of monopoly. If you have anything to monopolize a market, it is good. It is good. So that's for the first that go, or the forces against having a sustainable, reasonable profit. A sustainable, reasonable profit. And the next one, according to our material here, is buyer's pressure. Buyer's pressure, or we call it bargaining power. The position that you stand determines how much power you have. The position you stand determines how much power you have. So we call it bargaining power, means that you have more say. You have a pressure because you can enforce some things that are not natural on your customer. That will pass as buyer's pressure. So if a particular seller have only one person buying from it, that company is in trouble, because that buyer will tell you how much to buy, when to buy, and the quality to buy, and where you're supposed to deliver it. Even when that amount you want to buy is not up to how much it take you to produce that thing, what will you do? And you want to sell something. I don't know whether you have experience. You go to market one day, one old woman selling plantain that's already ripe. You amount you are priced, you know that it's not even good. You are just, I know what, maybe you don't want buy originally. You just go, you must just come back and take it. Since morning, my children don't eat anything, because there's a need. You have to sell. If you go, nobody has to buy, according to. And that's why it still exists nowadays. So you still have some community now, up to now, vehicle only enter to go to market 2 weeks, up to now in Nigeria. So you don't say whatever you want to sell today till next 2 weeks. So it's going to be a problem. Let me give you a typical example in Nigeria before, not now anyway. The only buyer of cocoa in Nigeria of that time is Cocoa Board. Nobody export cocoa in Nigeria. Cocoa Board. Meaning that each year, the Cocoa Board will announce how much a ton of cocoa is. For instance, like I said, like January this year, the government had declared that a ton of cocoa will go for 35,000 naira, irrespective of how much it costs the farmer to get a ton of cocoa, because nobody is buying except the government. So as a result of that, the government have more pressure on the farmers, and they can bargain better on the farm, because without that, the money is not coming except when they sell the cocoa. So meaning that in that circumstances, it may be difficult for the seller if you have only one buyer, or there are very few. That is a problem for you to have reasonable profit, for you to finance your entity. So what can you do? What can you do at least to maintain the level of sales or your buyers? One of the things we can do is to seek for more buyers. Number one solution, seek for more buyers. And that was happened to in net, I think let us see thereabout. When Nigerians allow people to be supplying cocoa, export cocoa, everybody. That way farmers, they become very happy. You see the boom in cocoa industry. So one of the solutions is to outsource many buyers. Number two, you can sell through different channels. Now, we just talking about international dimension of business at that time. Post it online. In the olden day definition of market, they say market is a place. Market is nowhere nowadays. When they're taking us market in economics and commerce that time, they say market is a place where somebody buy and sell. Buy, wait and sell in a place. So open other channel that you can actually sell from. That's another solution. Another solution is to create what they call switching cost. Switching cost. Switching cost is something, a cost that make it difficult for your buyer to leave you. Anything that make it difficult for your buyer to leave you for something else. There's a soft drink in Nigeria, still existing today. Somebody said if your first time of taking it, you're taking it cold, when it's chilled, you don't have to calculate it another. If you taste another, you spit it. So that will call a switching cost. Another closer one is that before they create transfer window for the telecommunication in Nigeria, you have a line that people have known you with. Even with that line fumble, say, even though because many people have known me with this line, I will just drop it and go and buy another one. I don't want to mention any name. So meaning that you will have dropped that one and go and buy another one, change the person you are buying from. You can't do that because people have known you. So that knowing popularity is a switching cost. It can be a taste. It can be a something like that people cannot get. Like the cloud for iPhone. You make it a security. So people say because of security, even though it's expensive, you buy. In the olden day of tech of Nokia, because of battery, everybody you must have, no matter what, you must have Nokia. So that's what it refers to as switching cost. And that's differentiation. So we don't have it, you don't have it. So another thing you can do is to enter into long-term contracts with major consumers so that they will not leave you like that. Notwithstanding, in many circumstances, you go to long-term contract, the amount you are going to sell per unit might be reduced, but you are sure you are going to have patronage for a longer period of time. So let's pause here. I'm going to continue with surplus prayer to complete the other part of the model. Thank you for your attention. Meet you very soon.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. For the lecture so far. Thank you, sir. And I think we'll go on break for 15 minutes. We'll be back at 7:15. Thank you.
Hello, are we back? Are we back?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Before we go on break, we've commenced discussion on Porter's 5 forces. We discussed force against sustainable profit after identifying what the forces are meant about and what is the purpose of that particular model because tools that where will a company, an entity invest or do business where it can get reasonable profit. And we identify what reasonable profits are, and we identify those forces against reasonable profit that can affect our finances. We identify competition and rivalry. We identify buyers' pressures, suppliers' pressure, or bargaining power, availability of close substitute, and availability of potential entrants. So we stop at discussing what we mean by buyer's pressures, and we identify the problem and some of the solutions. And one of the solutions we mentioned is to take over the buyer itself. So taking over the buyer itself, another name for it is what they call forward integration. Forward integration. That is, if go no go, buy that particular buyer. As a result, you don't have problem of where and how to sell your products. So that pressure on you, you've bought it over. That bargaining power, you've bought it over. So that is the extent of buyer's pressure. The next point to discuss is supplier's pressure. Supplier pressure, people that supply you what to sell, people that supply you your raw materials. Now, it becomes a problem when the particular entity have supply of his major components of his or his major raw materials or his major stock, the inventory that is sold from one or group of small group of similar suppliers. The opposite of buyer's pressure is supplier's pressure or bargaining power. If you have people like the scenario we just treated now, you see the position of the buyer and suppliers. Buyers have pressure because they're the only one buying on Fish Protein Limited. But supplier does not have the same capacity because the only person they sell for. So this is where Porter 546 connect with Mendelow. Some of these scenarios might actually connect with each other. They'll connect with each other. That's why sometimes circumstances, I can lock particular scenario to 2 or 3 models for you to use to analyze them. So like this one now, they look at times, this one can be linked to pastel too. I hope that when I train some of the past scenario, you can actually get some knowledge to see from there. Now the next one now is supplier pressure. So if you have single person or just few of component of persons supplying you, you're not going to find it easy. Worst case scenario, if that supplier is no more or one of your competitors took it over, so what are you going to be selling? What are you going to be producing when you don't have your major raw material? Farmers in some years back, they have problem because there were no grain. There were no grain. Bread become a problem. The price of bread rise up sometimes in a year that have not even come down, typically now, because they said that, I don't want to mention the name of the country, because there is war facing them, there's no supply. There's no supply. So if that problem persists, there's no way a company will make reasonable profits. So financing will be affected. I need to place a strategy for us to manage our finances. So if this problem are there, what and what can you do to solve the problem? What and what can you do to solve the problem? Number one, you can actually do backward integration, like buying the supply channel. That is backward integration. Or you can create your supply chain like a poultry farm that need grain as major raw material. They can establish a farm to plant their corn or guinea corn so that that problem is solved because they create their own supply chain. A timber shed who process wood, you don't have to supply you, go and create your own forest. 5-10 years, you have a rest of mind that your supply chain will not be blocked or cut off. Or you can do backward integration that you meant for the forward integration for buyer's pressure. You can do backward integration for supplier's pressure. Then you can multi-choice your source of supply too, or you can multi-source so that won't be like one of the cable network suppliers. You can multi-source your suppliers. Don't make it one person supplying major raw materials. It is dangerous for any business. Get raw materials from many people. Even in the Nigeria of today. I had a friend that we did ICANN together. He was working in the banking industry. After he left the banking industry, I was in the class when they just come. Come. I just came out. You know one thing. I said, what now? He said, I want to go and do an what do you mean? I said, no, I'm going to public sector. And I learned that is the politics there. If you are not there with them, you cannot chop fat. You know that one, so God did for you. So that is the area. So mean that in the industry, they've looked at what source. So let me have all the sources for me to skate through the hurdle. So meaning that for somebody to ease the particular industry, a particular trade or business, try to look for how many places you can get your supply from. So we should not outcome the solutions. We said create your supply chain, multi-choice your supply or multi-source your supply, do backward integration if it is possible. Do backward integration. Backward integration meaning that take the supply source, take it over, buy it. Forward integration means take over the distribution channel, meaning that buy the company that buys from you. So in either way, you are sure of your supply chain and your distribution chain. If you have those one, you are assured of having constant supply and a reduction in the number of competitors with assured charging of your prices and your profit. Because if you have few suppliers in the market, or only one supplier, and you're able to overtake that one, mean that your competitor will not have anything to supply. As a result, you can maintain your market. So vis-a-vis, to the reverse is the case for buyers too. So that is on that one. I think the next one, if you know the last one, is potential entrance or new entrance. New entrance means that because we see them entering the market. Potential entrance means that there's likely that people will enter the market, which is just natural. Whenever somebody, any company is bringing things that can make money, just wait. As far as it's recording some number of success, the market is growing, the first thing you see is other one coming to the market to compete. And no matter how that entity is good at that thing, if others came to the market, no matter how bad their own product is, they're still going to pull down the level of sales of that particular entity. That is why your advice as financial manager is very, very important based on this case, tools to measure the environment of the market where you want to operate. Now, we used to call them sitting on the edges, the sitter on the edges. Because when you are making the trying, your research, testing the market for a particular product, they are just watching you. If you fail, they will laugh and fall back. If you fail, they will laugh and fall back. The minute you make gains, your product is growing, they will fall into the market. Unfortunately, they can spoil the price for you. Why? The research you did, they didn't spend any money on research. The tests you did, they don't do any testing of the market. Let me some scenario now. I learned that Elisade dash government ministry agency cars Toyota after you give them money to buy fuel. See, this car is good now. Now in those days, government used only Peugeot products. Take this one now. So when that one takes success, how many suppliers of vehicle of Toyota do we have in Nigeria of today? That's this one. Another thing is that Maggi, I don't mean other seasoning, Maggi as a seasoning. To cross the northern market, they will dash people Maggi and give them money to cook, to use it to cook with. And now every seasoning you see in the market now, we call it Maggi. Every keep seasoning we see in the market, we call it Maggi. So, and Maggi too is still competing up to today, struggling to still adjust the market. Why other people have entered? In the noodle industry, it was Indomie that entered the market. You can tell me the number of noodle producers you have in Nigeria of today. Can Indomie say, I'm the leader, can you have the rest of mine without advertising? They don't burn it, it will crash. Notwithstanding, people are still saying that it is the best of the noodles. What we are saying is that immediately you are gaining market, immediately as you are making success, people will come to join you. Physically, I've seen several things like that. Somebody selling some just ordinary simple sales. So let him place that particular thing somewhere. You will be the only person. You will just look and go, you will pack and go again. Nobody will join. The first time anybody buy from that one, people are queuing, 2-3 people. The next day, somebody else will produce. In the era of business call, the people have umbrella. Almost every houses, they have umbrella. So doing that thing. When sachet water come to Nigeria, what we call pure water, it become a run for that particular company. It was making sales. Now, almost every household, at least every 1 kilometers, you see a pure water producer. So you cannot maintain the same market as that time. Those are the forces of potential entrants. Immediately you are making it in the business, they will spoil the market for you, for them to come there. Now, as we use for others, what can you do? Because no matter how you want to do it, people will come to join you. So what can you do to solve that particular problem too? So generally we have that the solutions for potential entrants is what we call barriers to entry. Barriers to entry. This one will give you difficulty for you to enter the market, whether they like it or yes. Some products, some sector of economy are like that. It's not meant for everybody. It's not meant for everybody. So that's what they call barrier for entry. Now, number one of the things is that, as we have in our notes, that is legal monopoly. We just mentioned the other time that you form association. So everybody that want to set that particular thing in your environment, they need to come and join you. And you can place a banner. If you don't pay so amount, you cannot join us. I know for a particular market in my environment, I will not measure my environment for you. In a market, you can only see only one person, only one seller of a frozen fish. If you come tomorrow, you're going to see only one, but not the person you saw yesterday. The big is like, unless you don't want to buy from that market, you will buy at any price that woman called or that man called. What they do is that they carry the number of this competition is becoming too much. They form association for them themselves. And their own was bad to the say that they are not going to take anybody else. Because they say the position is saturated. I think about 10 or 15 of them. Nobody else should come to their group. So that is essence of monopoly. So in that market, you can go to another market, but in that market, I'm sure you can't find more than one. I've even expressed somebody who opened a shop, not even like Oka, not even within the same market, but the same environment. The entry to the market, entrance to the market, they frustrated that woman out. So that is the power. So if you can create monopoly, which is legal monopoly, not artificial one that's not legal, you can secure your environment and nobody can just come in anyhow and come and spoil the market from you. Now, next one, another solution, which is one of the barrier to entry, is law and licensing. Law and licensing. In some businesses, you can find difficult that to escape through the laws, you say, must I do it? Must I do it? You want to just be doing buying and selling. Buy and sell ordinarily. With your CAC, karma is okay for you. You want to set accounting industry, CAC will ask you, do you have ICANN? Do you have funding? You say, no, you cannot register, you cannot do this business. Meaning that without ICANN, you cannot be an auditor. Or let me say, without ANA or ICANN, you cannot be an auditor in Nigeria. So that is law restricting some people to not cannot do some things. Not even talking about banking industry. You have about 5 regulators that need to actually pass the test before they say, I want to institute bank. That's why you don't see bank growing like before now. And that is one part of the capital. I'm coming to the capital now. I learned that recently, if you want to actually start a bank, it's only money deposit bank. That 25 billion, we need to register and drop it with CBN. And they say, come and collect your license in the next 360 days. Must I run banking? Not that you invested it, so you to be sure that this bank, you can actually maintain this amount. Must I run banking? It's not part of the laws or regulations for license of that particular business. It will make it difficult for somebody to come in. I know some business that the shareholder, the share capital should not be less than 30 million. That's the first small self. So those are what I'm talking about, the law that surrounds the business. You know that, okay, if you're able to escape through it, for anybody to come and join, even without even being an auditor, I don't need to ask you whether it is easy or not easy to become a chartered accountant. I'm a main member of ICANN. Anybody that want to follow you in your especially with government job, which are from your level 8 to level 10, before they meet you, you're just going. So if you want to go in a business that you don't want people to come in anyhow, look for a business that the law make it difficult for anybody to just come in. So that's what that one is saying. Other one is about the need for capital expenditure. So any capital intensive business is not meant for anybody. Anybody also cannot do the business. It's not meant for them. Don't come from this. We have how many GSM suppliers company in Nigeria? How many? 3, 4, or 2? Anyway, I'm sure of 3. Whether 3.5 or 4.5 or 4. If any of them have as much as 2 million subscribers, they are already in money. Their finances is sustainable. There's nobody from us now here on this platform that does not spend 100 naira credit, you call it, or unit per day. So your 100 naira multiplied by 2 million. How much is that in a day? In a day. One of the richest person in Nigeria of today, and one of the richest black, he mentioned one time, I said, I didn't even know before now. It was just considered a business of selling hair. Hair means that AIR. Whether they open, no, it's not the one that produces the search card. It's not the one that producing the phone that you use, but every day is making money because some people produce it on the side and they're using. But to go into that business, is it easy? How many of the up till now from 2002? How many already do you have in Nigeria? If you have 10 of them, they're still going to be making themselves. 10, 20 of them are going to be making themselves in Nigeria. We have nothing less than 160 million active phone users in Nigeria. So divided by 10, you have 16 million. 100 naira or even 10 naira of 60 million in a day. How much is that? So that is that. So, but it's not easy for you to go in like that. How many people in the world, not even in Nigeria, in the world, can venture into refinery like Dangote? So it's not an easy business. You need a lot of capital to go into it. How many people can close the mind and go and borrow $20 billion? for a business. So he's not afraid that any other person can come and hijack the market for him in the next 10 years. He's not afraid. That is the power of capital intensity of any business. So if you're afraid of you don't want people to join your business, go into capital intensive business. The next one is about know-how. It's not about selling things you cannot do if you don't have the skill. That's the extent of skill. How many countries manufacture cars in the world of today? We still have them, count them on our fingertips, because it's technology. You need to know how to do it. In Nigeria, probably we have one. Probably, I'm not even sure whether we have any. We used to have assemblies, about 3 or 4 of them before in Nigeria. Those assembly are not working again. So it's like we have one in Nigeria nowadays. Whether it's producing or we are assembling, I'm not sure. But at least it carries Nigerian name. I don't want to mention the name anyway. So you cannot establish an hospital unless you have the skill and the certificate that you can establish that one. You cannot be a forensic auditor and establish it if you don't know the know-how. Because if your tests go into failure, you're going to be in soup. If the test fail, you're going to be in soup. The liability is, you cannot even count it. It can be dangerous, just like liability of auditors too. So you don't have skill in accounting, you are not chartered, you are not certified, you don't even have license, you cannot call yourself auditor. So the road to that particular place is far. So next one here is about patent rights. The closest to what we can actually understand or know about this is about medicine sellers, patent medicine sellers. They have regulators who have a radius that anybody can open the patent store where they sell. Is it drug they call it? The chemist. Popular name is chemist. Where they can open their chemistry. They have a radius. Within that particular radius, nobody else is permitted to open, so that at least that one can capture its market. So in this environment, nobody else will do the same thing person I'm doing here except me. When we are growing, we used to actually see liquor seller too. They will call it patented on and off, meaning that day and night you can make yourselves. In that environment, nobody else can open such a business within that range except it is there. We have many of them like that. We have trademarks, we have franchise like that. If you have them, unless you want to fake, that's another thing anyway. You remember in some years back, I think up to decades now, one of the most appreciated electronics for sound or vision before this GSM came is Panasonic. It does not take up to a year, we see Panasonic too. Panasonic. You don't take time, you're thinking that they're the same thing, they are not the same. So when you have a patented process on ground, it makes it difficult for anybody else to come into the business. Or your product is unique. So uniqueness at times make it difficult for people to copy you. One of the attendees of the last induction of ICANN said the government of said that ICANN do not reduce the standard of your examination. It has tested and passed the test of time over the years. At least you don't even have more than 2 or 3 professional organizations that into accounting in Nigeria. No one has ever beat, not even beat ICANN, move close to ICANN. All of us can testify to this. Some of them cannot even do anything accounting. So some people can do accounting, people don't believe in them. So because there is uniqueness in what it is. Some others actually take soft drinks too. Especially this black one. I don't want to mention any name. People that are addicted to it. If you mention another one, they will say that one water. What are those ones that are left together than that? We have about 7 black soft drinks nowadays now. So because that one is unique, everybody want to actually associate. with it as a source of quenching tax and a source of energy. So that are part of the solutions to potential entrance, the one we call barriers to entry. The one we call barriers to entry. I think that's why you're there. Let's look at the last force there, which is substitute of product, availability of close substitute. Availability of close substitute. At the era we are now, I used to mention is era of choice. Almost everything we have, we are using, we buy. Not only in Nigeria, today, you can buy many of them. If I need to ask, this number of people we have here, we have different type of answer that is not even unique to each other. We have, even with some that you have the same thing, the grade is not the same thing. The grade, they're not the same thing. iPhone 12, iPhone 13, iPhone 9, iPhone 4, that is iPhone. You have Samsung, Samsung Fold, Samsung Street, Samsung Triumph, like that. So you can count many phones. GSM, just mention iPhone now, Samsung, Nokia, Techno, Itel, mention them now, they plenty. That is choice. You don't want to cook at home, you like eatery. Count the number of eatery you have in your surroundings. I don't want to mention it to advertise for them. You can see as many of them as possible. You see chain of shops, the one you call supermarket, you can count as many as possible. So within that, there's nothing you cannot have, you cannot find a substitute for. Then it becomes worse when they are a close substitute. The problem here is that if you have a close, if you raise up your own price, automatically the demand will fall, and the demand for the substitute will actually go up because you don't see that you can use another one. I don't think I've used one phone, the same thing after the first one I used. I drop one and buy another brand entirely. I don't think I've used some of them subsequently with like the same thing. So that is the danger of close substitute. And one of the enhancements of substitution in the world of today is technology. It has made things easy. Somebody said, one of the contestants, presidential aspirant in 1999 or 2004, he said we need technology in Nigeria. If you don't have, you will buy. If you cannot buy, we will steal. I know a nation in the world today, they stole technology. And you've got to steal from them. Number one, the language is difficult. Number two, the just of the party will complete the writing there. At times they scratch some. I've witnessed before. When I was in media industry, some of the panels of our outdoor advertising mechanism got bad. They sent it back to that country to go and do. Before they brought it back, they scraped all the numbers at the bottom of the panel intentionally, so that you cannot say you want to develop something like that in Nigeria. So that means that you can duplicate because of technology. So when you have substitute product, as you mentioned the other times, it makes it difficult for you to maintain or hike your price or maintain a particular price. So you have many choice. Look at it. Water, bottled water, count the names. Sachet water, count the names. Soft drinks, count the names. Juice, count the name. Even alcohol, count the name. Wine, count the name. Very many of them. So if you have it like that, there's going to be a problem. Then what can you do as a solution to that? What can you do as a solution to that? One of the things we mentioned about the buyer substitute the other time is one of the solutions, create switching costs. Switching costs, meaning that this substitute, nobody can leave it because of one thing you put inside there. That is close substitute. Another thing you can do here is that the identified buyers from you, go into a long-term contract with them. Another thing you can do is to keep on advertising and promoting. You know what we call promotion? Advertising, promoting the entity, promoting the product. Another thing you can do is to produce similar products. Produce similar products of the same brand. Another thing you can do to solve the problem, change the designs. Change the designs of those particular products. So when you have that, your buyers of that product will be imagining and following you as you are changing them from one level to the other. So they will not even reach what they call this one as ability to continue. A lot of the will not come in because they are chasing changes in what you are doing, either the taste or the branding. So when you're able to do this, you can maintain your customers even though you have substitute. We mentioned the other time that when you have plenty of product in the market, in the noodle industry, Indomie still take the lead. Notwithstanding, there are other noodles plenty in that industry. So those are the part of the thing you can see, you can do to solve the problem. Summarily, Porter 5 forces is all about gaining an industry where you can get attractive profitability, where you can easily make your profit. Number two, what do we call reasonable profit? Profit that is big enough for you to say thank you to your investors, either investors as in debt or investor as in equity. In equity, you pay dividend. In debt, you pay interest. If you're able to satisfy those one now, they still continue to beat with you, and your finance will be continue to waddle very well. Another one we discussed is that those things, even when you are getting at the beginning, you are not sure of getting like that because of some forces against that success. And we mentioned 5 of them. We mentioned 5 of them. Potential entrance, availability of close substitute, buyers pressure or bargaining power, suppliers pressure or bargaining power, potential entrant, competition and rivalry. Competition and rivalry. So those are the part of the thing on that one. I think the time is gone. Not handle another model or tools now. But by next class, we will try other than, I think maybe we are going to have about 2 scenarios more, not now anyway. Some of the models needed some scenarios so that we can be fast enough to close the gaps of the scenarios and go into some other aspect of the strategy management. We still have ethics to do it. We have corporate governance to do it. We have risk analysis to do it. Notwithstanding, those ones, they are not as wide or as big as we have under this strategy management and tools. So if you have questions, we can raise for now. Let's pause if there's any good question for us to attempt.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for the lecture so far. Please, if you have question, kindly unmute your mic and ask your question. Question?
Okay, good evening, sir.
Welcome.
Yes, and thank you for the lecture so far. So my question is, for instance, the buyer pressure now, we used to know it as the bargaining power of supplier or bargaining power of customer, or yes. So is it like the name has changed or it's still the same thing?
The name is not the same thing. Depending on the literature you lay your hand on, they mean the same thing even self.
Okay.
Bargaining power is the same thing as pressure. Anybody that have more power to bargain, he give you a pressure. You just accept because you need to accept, not because what he's saying is correct. But you don't have power to go beyond that. I made the mention of somebody who is selling a ripe plantain. Maybe he bought that bunch 2,000 naira because the market has even took her. Sorry for using that language. They've closed the market. You just came around. You just brought. You want to buy. Mama said that there's nobody else again except you. You agree 1.5. Your mama bought it 2,000 naira because there's nobody else. If you don't give her where they go, you too know that there's nobody else. Okay, come and take, auntie, take me money. If there are many buyers, you will not accept that. If you are about 20 on top of that one, you will not agree. You will not even answer you again, sir. So that is a pressure. The same thing is bargaining power. It does not change. Two of them, in the beginning, I said they can use them interchangeably. You can call it buyer's pressure or buyer's bargaining power. The two names are the same thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, please, any other question before we go? Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for the lecture so far, once again. And we didn't take this for granted. And thank you so much for always show up. Thank you, sir. So thank you. Thank you, sir. So thank you everyone for joining today's class. Yes, thank you so much everyone for joining today's class. See you in our next class on the part of financial management. We will continue with our lecture on cost of capital when next we meet. Thank you so much everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.